You know, sometimes I facetiously refer to the infinite wisdom of our General Assembly up in Richmond, but this year I genuinely, with a full heart, refer to the infinite wisdom of the General Assembly, because finally I was a chair with the part of a committee that sought to pass a bill, and this plays off of what you were talking about. Spousal support. Now, if you are given, let's say you go all the way through a trial and you get to the end and the judge says, I give her X amount of dollars in spousal support per month. That means you're going to receive that, but it's going to stop if she dies, she remarries, or he dies. It's over. Now, one of the most alarming cases that I ever had in my life was 13 years ago. I represented a woman and she got a spousal support award. And it was $15,000 a month. And she did not go after the family business. It wasn't the largest business in the world because of that spousal support award. And I told her that I felt uncomfortable about that she should take less and get more money in equitable distribution up front. But she said, no, I really want that support package. That's the way I've budgeted it. And lo and behold, he drowned in Aruba swimming 2 years later. And so she came back and said, well, you know what happens? I said, you don't get the spousal support anymore. Now, at that time, if we had taken that case to trial, if I had asked a judge, there is an insurance policy in this marriage. So they decided that they were going to have a standard of living where they would protect themselves with an insurance policy. And I want you to allocate the death benefit. I would still go for half of the cash value, but I want you to allocate the death benefit to wife who's going to receive the spousal support until there's no longer a spousal support obligation. The court, if I had asked in that case 13 years ago, the court would have not had the jurisdiction to order that. Finally, 9 years ago, they made a provision where if you had a life insurance policy and you owed child support, you had to make the child the beneficiary of the death benefit. And so the court had the jurisdiction to do that. What I was working to do was to get a law passed that gave the court the jurisdiction to allocate a death benefit and basically ensure a spousal support income stream in the event of death of the payor. And so in that regard, the General Assembly this session, and it goes into effect on July 1 of this year, passed Section 20-107.1:1 of the Code of Virginia. Yes. And I'm really very excited about it, because it's the first time that the court will have the jurisdiction. And let me say this, that they have a factors test. And one thing in divorce that I've got to tell you, if you look at spousal support, you look at equitable distribution, you look at custody, they always have these statutes with factors that the court is required to consider. They're really into factors. But the major factor that you have to emphasize if you're in the divorce process, and you will have insured, is that you've got to be testifying in front of the judge. We got that insurance policy in case he died. And it's normally you get the insurance policy on the alpha earner in the marriage. So if that alpha earner dies, you've got enough money to send the children to college and pay off the house, etc. That we got that insurance policy in the event of his death, and that the children and I would be taken care of. And that allows the judge. That's really what the court is going to be looking for. So that is a huge development here in Virginia, which, as you know, if you look at a lot of Supreme Court cases, has not been the most, has not been a jurisdiction really at the vanguard, the cutting edge of the law. A lot of our stuff comes across from California, and we get it about 25 years later. That was like joint legal custody. Pardon? The person who's paying for the spousal support, the owner of the policy. He can be required to continue the policy. And that's one of the factors that if you've got a term policy, and let's say you're 64 years old and you got a 20-year level premium policy, and when you were 45 years old and it was going to run out when you were 65, and then the premium is going to skyrocket, that's one of the things that the court is going to look at as a factor as to whether they're going to order that the payor keep that insurance intact and have the death benefit allocable to the recipient of the spousal support.